What do you guys remember from last time?
Let me check my notes.
We just arrived at the inn. Well, we arrived at the inn, we went out searching, found whoever was the owner of the crops. They're demons. And we asked some questions. Apparently they're killing people. So we went back to the inn and slept. We woke up, ate some food.
Embarrassed ourselves trying to order breakfast.
Yeah. I think, yeah, so we ordered breakfast and...
Now we're going to the Adventurers Guild.
Adira and Eldest finished talking to the two people by the window. And Aramil and Tinalis are currently in their room.
Yep.
I am eating bacon.
Because bacon's amazing.
I had pancakes.
Oh, yeah.
We ate good.
Yeah, that was fun. And there's somebody we have to look for at the Adventurers Guild. I wrote that name down somewhere.
Ryuji.
Yes, that was it.
Of course. Making sure I have everything in order. So what will you do? What are you guys going to do now?
I shall continue eating bacon.
And we're going to wait until somebody comes to get us.
So...
Alrighty then. Downstairs crew, what of you?
So Adira, now that we talked to those two, do you think we should also talk to the person sitting alone at the table? Or do you think we should go back to the others and talk with them about what we found out?
Maybe we could talk to the other person to see if he's friendly enough to talk to at least.
Alright. So we walk over to the person sitting alone at the table.
Alrighty.
Okay. What do I notice about them as I walk over?
There isn't much to see at first. You can see that they're pretty much head to toe in robes. Even with a cowl and a half mask. There's not much to discern besides the distinct kind of very dark color regime going on with the kind of blacked out leather, or well, the blacked out fabric, the low ground tones of, you know, specific leather straps. They seem to have some light, or not bright green, but a little bit of green trimming along some of the seam edges. They seem to either not notice you or just be directly ignoring you.
Okay. So I walk over and ask, "Excuse me, do you have a moment?"
The figure takes a moment before even kind of gesturing or even seeming to acknowledge your presence. No, I do not.
Oh, all right. Sorry for disturbing you. And I promptly turn around and walk away.
Fair enough.
I guess he was enough, huh?
Yeah. I mean, if he doesn't feel like talking, I won't try and force anything out of him. Let's head back to the others and let them know what we found out.
Alright.
We make our way to their room.
Fair enough. So, the rest of your party makes their way up the stairs and raps against the door.
Come on in. Wait, should I have asked who it was?
Hmm?
I just shrug
Never
and
mind.
point to my sword.
Yeah, whatever. Come on in.
Okay. We walk through the door.
What is up, guys?
Oh, for one, the innkeeper is amazing at what she does.
She needs a raise, for sure.
That was some delicious pancakes, and the omelet was pretty nice too.
Yep, I just tried the bacon.
Ooh, it looks good, but I'm too full right now. I'll probably have that next time.
So, what did we learn?
Well, the monster. So, the demon seems to be very strong. There have been countless soldiers sent at it, but most of them have, like, all of them have failed. And apparently, if nothing is done about it soon, an ultimate weapon may be unleashed that will
Ooh.
just go and destroy everything.
Unfortunate. We should probably do something about that.
I mean, they said even if they are used, like, they know what they're doing, so they won't destroy too much, but still anything in its way will be destroyed. And I would rather this get taken care of before that's used as a resort.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like something we want.
Okay. So when do you guys want to head out?
I think we're pretty much ready to go.
Okay. Let's just wrap up. Let's just wrap up that bacon and finish eating it, and then we can head off.
Pocket. Alright, let's go.
Alright. So we need to find the Adventurers Guild.
All
Checking
right,
my
you're getting
book.
up and setting out. Sorry, what were you doing, Aramil?
Oh, checking my book, because I wrote down the direction. Northeast.
Yes, it was.
Black roof.
Yeah, that was the other thing I wrote down.
Let's see.
Northeast, comma, Black Roof. That's where we're going.
So, as you kind of make your way out of the inn, you find yourselves in the not so bustling city. Streets are relatively clear, and there are some traders here and there. Though, as you begin to make your way across town, you do find the building in question, the Adventurers Guild. Very, well, I wouldn't say very large. It's more of a high mid-sized building, with black swept roofing. It seems to actually have a square shape to it and a courtyard in the center. But on the front is a large extension that goes up 2 or 3 floors. So most of the business is probably handled there.
Sounds like that's where we need to go.
And so you shall.
All right. We head inside the building.
Alrighty. Throwing on Fred boat.
I consume some pocket bacon.
So, in this case, you would find yourselves entering the building to what could be considered a pretty standard room. Receptionist desk all the way across seems to be kept very clean. You can see a myriad of different kinds of people just about the room, filling out paperwork, sitting in different typists, each going about their own business. As for behind the counter, you do see a receptionist, a woman with mid-length black hair, very bright blue eyes that seem to be darting between a couple of people who are up at the desk. The interior of the building has a very light wood aesthetic. So the actual floors seem to be of a very bright, maybe even a birch type wood, as opposed to the ceilings also are a similar shade, but the walls are mostly paper sliding walls. But as you kind of make your way forward into the room, you are now amongst a myriad of adventurers, much like yourselves.
So, should we try reception?
Seems like the best place to start.
All right.
I shall march towards reception.
Alrighty. Once you get to the reception desk, you can see let's see, 2 gentlemen. One with a very kind of Western Gothic half metal or half plate armor. He's got his full chainmail. He's got a steel neck guard. A form of metal neck guard. A pauldron that leads down to accentuated elbow plates and leather bracers. His other arm, what you would assume would be his sword hand for the Germanic type, seems to be mostly padded leather. He seems to be strapped with a myriad of weapons. Just a complete set of weapons, actually. He seems to have a short sword on his hip. He has a dagger tucked into his belt. He has a long sword on his back and a shield. With this, he also has, potions strapped to his belt. Probably a coin purse, probably a very thin, smaller bedroll that's just on the back of his waist. He's got what looks to be a very tattered and dampened cape that's seen some battle, The ends are tattered. There are small holes in the bottom. Same with the front of his robe. Standing beside him is a very, very different kind of person. You can just kind of tell by the way they look. Unlike the man who's standing there, you see another person, completely white robes, or a heavy white robe that has some gold embroidery and the lacing along the sleeves, the lacing along the hood, the hood draws, is all very fine gold. He seems to also wear a thinner black robe under the white one, as well as having half gloves. So his gloves seem to not be fingerless entirely. Only his index finger and his pinky finger seem to not have, and there are very slighted, heavier padding along the backs of his hands. You can see some of the kind of chains and drapery run to his hands from in his sleeves. He's got white, about a little shorter than shoulder length hair and very bright golden eyes. The way he carries himself is very different to the counterpart next to him. The man in half plate seems to stand very straight, very reasonable. Or not reasonable, what's the word? Very respectful. Meanwhile, this other gentleman is leaned against the counter with his hands crossed and his chin sitting on them. I apologize, I forgot to go a little bit into the other character. The man in the armor seems to be kind of early mid-age. He's got, short brown hair that's just, kind of forward. Pretty small, well-kept, or well-trimmed beard. Though you can see the sides of his hair are kind of graying. He's seen his fair share of combat. His face is riddled in minor and not so minor scars. But he seems to have, just very dulled kind of brown eyes. As well as he seems to have something, as he speaks, he slightly turns and he has something else strapped to his belt, which is the head of a demon.
Oh.
Which is tethered by its horns to the back of his belt. Or well, more about 3/4 on the right side. And the other gentleman who he is with seems to be pretty much pristinely clean, as opposed to him, who seems to have a little bit more blood on his red cape, or a little more maybe sprinkled onto the robe that runs down the front of his chainmail. Though they seem to be talking with the receptionist about a form of payment. What will you do?
So they're with the receptionist now.
Just talking. Yep.
Alright. I will wait in line.
I will also wait in line.
And I follow as well.
I'll be staring at the demon head.
After about a minute or two longer of conversation, you can see him grab the horn, and the rope seems to untie from the horn relatively easily as he swings it up onto the desk. He speaks in a very kind of low tone, quiet, very one-on-one. After a little bit, the receptionist, seemingly reluctantly, takes the horn of the creature and lifts the head to put it under the desk. And after about 15 seconds of rummaging with something just under the countertop, they set a bag of coins on the counter. The armored man looks a little disheveled, a little disappointed. Almost, he has that kind of expression of someone who got cheated. Meanwhile, his compatriot seems to just kind of brush it off, turn, and with a little bit of an eccentric swing of the leg, stands back up straight and brushes his robe off. He looks over at the man in the armor, nods to him, and actually gestures towards your group. The man seems to be, after a little bit of thought, he takes a step back from the counter and he nods to the man in the white robes. They take the bag of coins off the counter, and the man in armor kind of trudges his way past you. The man in the white robes seems to just kind of glide on by. He doesn't seem to even kind of have any vertical movement when he walks, Gopik. As he just, what seems like, hovers by.
Cool.
Mine look like fun.
Alright, to the receptionist.
The receptionist, looking a little bothered, only a little, kind of wiping their hands off on a cloth. You know, a little bit of soap and water on it. They slowly turn to look at you. Yes, what can I do for you?
We were told to come here for looking about the Oni.
Yes, the Oni that is nearby. Of course. And how many are in your group? She seems to pull up a clipboard that has a sheet on it that she almost looks like she's ready to check boxes.
Just the 4 of us, but we're supposed to find a tracker in order to find the Oni, so I think 5?
We're looking for someone named Ryuji. Have you heard of him?
You're looking for Ryuji?
We were told to come here and find them.
I suppose. Well, let me finish this questionnaire and then we'll find Ryuji. Well, yes, we at the Adventurers Guild need to be sure that we're not just sending you to your death.
Good point.
It's not a very renewable business if we just send people to die.
That's a valid point. What do you need to know?
Well, for one, how much combat experience do you have?
That's a good question.
I'd say, when did I leave my home? I need to find that.
I'm a wizard. I'd say minimal.
I personally have 3 years of travel and self-survival.
Yes, but I mean combat. Have you ever been on a battlefield?
Not like a big one. I've fought some wolves here and there.
What of the rest of you?
Haven't been in very many fights.
I'm mostly just in the back lines.
Not that I can think of.
She seems to be taking notes of things you're saying. Which
a good
one of
idea.
you are any of you diviners?
Diviners?
What does that mean?
Yes, men or women of gods.
Ooh,
Those who have divine magic, healers of sorts.
I point
Uh.
to L and kind of motion to myself.
uh,
And tell me, what order do you both hail from?
we both hail from Usagi.
I nod.
What order? What is your god?
Usagi.
All right. I forgot I redid the whole pantheon for this.
Oh,
I
yeah.
apologize. Well, I have 3 different pantheons I'm using. So you're both under Usagi. Okay. And they seem to, jot that down. And you have minimal combat experience. You're under Usagi. You have 2 diviners. And what do the other 2 of you do?
I kind of like step aside and motion to them so they can speak.
Well, I'm a wizard, so I'm a spellcaster.
Alrighty. He writes that down. And what of you? Gestures to Adriel.
I'm a monk.
Alright. And she seems to jot that down as well. And you're looking to hunt Oni.
That is
The
correct.
You do not pass qualifications. Not in the slightest.
Oh. Do we still get to talk to Ryuji?
Of course. You'll have to still speak with Ryuji. But I cannot send you on this mission.
Alright then.
You will have to complete prerequisites beforehand.
Those would be...
I will need a few minutes to compile prerequisites based on your skill and
Alright.
your qualifications. So, if you wish to speak to Ryuji, on the other hand, you should... And she ponders for a moment. I suppose I can fetch Ryuji. Please have a seat and try not to cause a ruckus.
Okay then.
She gestures to, all the seating with all the various kind of people who are strewn about.
I will skip over to an open seat and sit down.
I find an open seat and eat some bacon out of my pocket.
As well.
As do I.
So what are you guys going to do? Because there are going to be a few minutes.
I shall eat pocket bacon.
I just kind of pace back and forth.
Anyone else?
I will read through my spell book and nibble on some bacon.
Nibble.
After you.
Alrighty. We'll say probably it takes about 5 or 10 minutes for her to return with Ryuji. Ryuji himself is a rather interesting individual as he walks through the door. He's a man about, or he's an Eastern man of about, mid-adulthood. You'd probably say mid-20s. He wears very fine, kind of plated shoulder plates, which are a combination of different types of metal. He wears a metal chest plate over, or a metal kind of chest cover over a padded leather robe, which at the sides of the chest plate have, strapped on folds, which have metal plates under these kind of fabric, fabric strips or bolts, which give a very kind of artistic design to his armor. Clearly, he's someone who has enough money to have custom-made armor. He wears a red belt sash, or a red belt that's tied to the back and has a kind of an extension that hangs about knee low with a red kind of orb on it. A red sphere that the cloth seems to kind of bow out of at the bottom. He's got some notable features to his person, which are very fine, kind of gold-colored bracers that seem to have demon, like, kind of traditional Oni depiction faces on them. He has a book that's chained to his belt. He has a pouch that's tied to his belt. He also has a white porcelain mask that is also hanging from his belt. Very finely cut, not much color to it at all. It's just shining white and with only eye cuts through it. The only color there is on it is a red gem on the forehead of it. As for when he walks through the door, the first thing you notice is his weapon. He has a Muramasa, a very long, the hilt of the blade was probably about maybe 2.5 feet long. So there's a lot of handle room to work with. But the blade itself is also incredibly long. It's about from the end of the hilt to the tip of the blade, it's probably a 7-foot blade. As opposed to Ryuji, who's only about maybe 5'10". But it sits on his belt behind him in a sheath. He's got a very strange kind of presence to him. But he kind of looks over your group and not particularly looks down upon you, but he definitely seems like he's unsure of why you're here, or why you specifically are here to talk to him. All right, what can I do for you, since you've stopped me out?
The air mill.
We wish to hunt the Oni. We were told the best place to start is to come looking for you. Do you have any information you can give us?
Not until you prove yourself. As my receptionist has warned me, you are nowhere near qualified.
Unfortunately.
So, I'll give you any details and information I can once you've completed her qualifications.
Fair?
We can do that.
I can't have you running off to try and fight it on your own and dying now.
That's
So,
understandable.
this is not going to be easy, I'll tell you that. This is not a very simple profession.
Nothing worth doing is.
Fair enough, but there are some things that are more challenging than others. So, let me see. He takes his book off of his belt, flips it open. So you want to hunt an Oni, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. Before you can do that, you're going to have to bring me some trophies. Specifically, the trophies of a Tenoruk, a trophy of a... he seems to kind of look into the book a little deeper. You'll have to bring me the trophy of a
A rock?
Varrock.
Varrock.
Oh, okay, he said a rock.
V-R-O-C-K. I would not send you after a rock.
I should hope not.
Survive. You would never survive a rock.
Of course not.
Out of character, you guys don't know what a rock is, do you?
What?
Are we not talking about like a stone?
If we're not talking
No.
about an actual piece of stone, no, I don't know what that is.
No, a rock is a creature.
Oh,
A rock is a challenge rating 11 Sky
Oh,
Titan.
Shit.
and they call it a rock?
ROC,
rock.
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 The more you know.
That's a very misleading name.
Yeah.
Okay, good to know.
So, as for the third creature, this one will not be as easy as the other two. You'll have to bring me a trophy of either a Hizuru, or seems to actually be like looking through his book, making sure he can find you things that you can do. You'll have to bring me the trophy of a bone devil.
Ooh, I know those things.
And then claps the book closed.
Can you spell the Tenoruk, Varrock, and Hazoru?
V-R-O-C-K, Varrock. Hezro is H-E-Z-R-O-U. And Tanaruk is T-A-N-A-R-U-K-K.
Alright.
So we'll see what you can do.
Alright then.
I think you'll be surprised with what we come up with.
Once he claps the book shut and hangs it back on his waist, he doesn't say anything more. He just turns around and walks away.
I think I'll be surprised with what we come up with too.
Relax, Aramil. We'll do fine.
So do you think those were in like order of how dangerous they are? So we should like do them in order, or is that just suggestions?
I shrug.
He did say the Hezru or Bone Devil are the hardest.
That's true. In terms of the other two, I'd say it's up to interpretation.
We could probably just go in order.
Yeah, sure, that works.
Now, where do we find these things is the question.
That is a very good question. Maybe the receptionist would know.
I believe she was standing there the entire time.
No, she walked away with him.
Okay.
She's back at the counter.
I don't think we should bother them, but you're welcome to if you want. I can see if...
Well, do I know?
I'll see if Silver has anything about it.
As I bring out my tome.
Alright, well, do you want to ask the receptionist, or do you want to see if anybody else knows?
I'm already
'Cause
looking
we
for
are
my
in a-
tome.
Okay. What do the rest do you think?
Mm-hmm.
The rest of you, are you guys still alive?
Just checking.
So, thoughts?
Mm,
Could you repeat yourself?
Do you want to ask the receptionist where we can find these creatures, or do you want to ask people around the room?
Oh, okay, okay. Let's see if we can ask the other people in the room. Maybe get to know some new people.
Okay. I look around the room and see what kind of people are there.
Okay. There are quite a few people in the room. So, are you looking for like bigger groups, smaller groups, people who look like they've had their metal tested, people who look very kind of cleaned up and very, we'll say, not very battle worn?
People who look like they won't laugh at me if I ask them a question.
Honestly, being that you are a wizard who has almost seen zero combat, most of them probably will.
Oh, it's unfortunate.
Assumption.
That's valid. Alright, let's find, well, somebody who looks knowledgeable.
There are a few people who you would put under the air quote knowledgeable category. One of which is the man who was at the counter before with the man with the white robes. Those two are still here. There's a dwarf in kind of moderately heavy plate armor. He's got his helmet off, got a pipe in hand, kind of resting on his he has his axe's head against the ground and he's resting against he has the head up and he's got his hand over the back of it and he's just leaning on that, seemingly chatting with another couple of people. Other people who might be a little more experienced would be there is an elven man who also seems to brandish a katana-like blade with very long, kind of flowing red robes. there is a where is it? A woman with her own blade. She seems to wear very minimalist armor, like very much taking the objective dodging over pretty much protection. The only protection they really wear is on their arms and shoulders, which seem to be like half straight set pauldrons and bracers. Other than that, it's just light padding on the boots that have like leather on them. Those are really the only people who stick out to you that aren't just the rabble.
Alright, well, we decide things together as a party. What do you guys think? I personally think we should go for the guy in the white robes.
How come?
Well, he looks knowledgeable. That's... If he's traveling with the guy who has a demon head, then you know at least one of them has experience.
That's a good point.
Well, I don't mind it.
Alright. Should we go check them out then?
Sure. Daniels, do you want to come with us? Or are you still reading?
I am still looking through.
Alright, well, the three of us go over to the two of them and sort of wave to get their attention.
So, yeah, we wave to get their attention.
The two adventurers who were at the counter before?
Yes.
Of course. The one in the white robes seems to notice you rather quickly. The other one either seems to not really care for the gesture or something to that effect, as he seems to kind of roll his eyes when the man in the white robes kind of turns on a dime and kind of looks over at your group. Yes, what can I do for you?
We're looking for information on specific creatures. Do you think you'd be able to help us?
Well, I suppose I could. I've seen my way around.
Alright, so there's three that we're looking for, but specifically there's, okay, I don't remember the name of the first one, but there's a Varrock that we're looking for.
Alright. I can tell you a little about Varrocks. So, are you looking for where you can find it, or? Well, we'll start with that, I guess.
That's probably the
Give me
best
your
place to
map.
start.
He holds out his hand expectantly.
He asked for the map.
Oh, yeah, I hand him the map.
Let me see. Also, Bash, you haven't dealt with any of these.
Alright.
Let me see. So, let's see. He seems to take your map for a moment and he jots down the location of a rock that he knows of. Oh, I was on the wrong key behind.
That's fairly close.
Yes.
Hmm.
Oh.
We saw
I mean,
it in
in
our
comparison to other
travels.
things.
So, what else?
Hmm.
The other one was... One was a bone devil. Do you know anywhere we could find one of those?
Bone devil, huh? Ryuji probably really doesn't want you to hunt what you're trying to hunt, isn't he?
Oh, what
Probably.
does that mean?
Bone devils aren't exactly easy to
Straw.
find,
Oh.
and when you do find them, you'll wish you didn't.
They're mean son of bitches.
All the more reason for us to take one down to prove our worth.
He kind of looks your group up and down. You can't do it.
Oh.
Me still reading in the back.
Nobody has any faith in us.
I don't need faith to see. I don't need faith to see that you're not ready. Look, I'll put it this way. Your ability to fight something like a bone devil is not just your ability to come walking into a fight with all of your abilities and all of your weapons at the ready. It's not that kind of fight. Now, the way I'll put it is, me and the big guy here, they won't even send us to fight that.
Wait, what?
Are we being punked?
No. You're being scared off.
Oh. Well, I
It's
mean,
very clear Ryuji doesn't want you hunting that creature, so he sent you to find something that you'll never find.
Well, dang.
What about the Hezaru?
that was it. I couldn't remember the name.
Hizaru. Well, of course there are Hizaru. They're everywhere. You could probably walk out of town and find a Hizaru.
Oh, then that might be the first one on our list then.
That was one of the deadliest ones.
Of course it is.
Oh.
The way I'll put it, with Hizaru, they also have a very interesting combat tactic. Honestly. He's either trying to make sure that you get killed, or he's trying to make sure that you barely survive.
He's doing this to us because we want to try to fight an Oni.
You mean the Oni, the one that's stealing people?
Yeah.
I see.
He thinks that if
Sounds
we can
like
bring him these
Ryuji.
trophies, then we can do this.
Sounds like Ryuji, trying to protect everyone else.
I close my toe and walk over. So, what's going on? Did you guys find anything?
We found something, but apparently we're being sent to our death so that we won't fight an Oni.
Oh,
More like you're near death.
So you got all 4 information?
Just the 3. We still need to find a tenor rock.
I suppose the tenoric would be more manageable. But I don't suspect you'll have an easy time with it either. Tenoric, on the other hand, he taps his finger against his chin. There is a tenoric. Look. This is not going to be a pleasant experience for any of you. Why are you so gung-ho to fight this thing anyway?
Because people need help.
True, but throwing yourselves at something that'll...
Then we just gotta make sure we don't get killed.
I'm on the run from an evil cult of wizards. I don't really have much else to lose. If I can do some good in the process, then why not?
The man in armor just looks at your group and slowly shakes his head. Don't do anyone good killing yourself. The only thing you do is put more weight on Ryuji's conscience.
Then I guess I better not die.
But if you're so gung-ho, then at least make sure that you do it right. You're new. They'll kill you. You're looking for things that'll teach you how to fight.
What do you recommend?
Are there any smaller monsters in the area for us to try hunting first?
Good luck. The Adventurers Guild sends people off to hunt them daily. He looks over at the man in the white robes. Don't waste your time trying to reason with them, Shin. Not gonna work. The man in white looks, kind of side-eyes him for a second, and then shrugs. You're probably right.
I clasp Airmail on the shoulders. Well, let's get going.
Well, if they really don't think we can do this, then we should find somewhere that we could start. We gotta learn to fight somehow.
But they said that all the smaller mobs are being taken out all the time.
No one's gonna write legend if you go for the small ones.
So do you suggest we go for one of those 3 that they mentioned?
The Tenrock seemed to be the easiest. It was the
Let's
first
really go
listed.
for that one.
Who knows, we might find something small on the way.
It's true.
That's a good point. Alright, I'm down for it. What do you think? I gesture over to Adira.
Well, if we're getting practice on the way, I guess that.
All right. Well, let's go look for stuff.
We're gonna die.
Absolutely.
May
Are you
Usagi
serious?
watch over us.
Alright, so you guys are leaving the Adventurers Guild?
Yes, I thank Shin for the information first, and then we're gonna head out.
He gives a slighted bow.
May Usagi will be with you.
He seems to still follow through with the bow. And when he straightens up, I want you guys to make a perception check.
Oh.
What?
Whoever
Okay.
would like to can make a perception check.
I'll make a perception check. Find the button.
Any reason why you're making that at advantage, Bash?
My shield.
All right, right.
Are we all making that?
Anyone who wants to.
Do I get the +5 on this, or like from observation, or no? Like, in what cases would in what cases would observant?
Only passive perception.
So like one would count as passive.
That's really just for Flame to know.
That's for me.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's when something is like trying to sneak up on you.
Okay.
Cool.
Hmm.
So, as he straightens up, Bash and L, you both can see that the sigil on his shoulders is it's a half-hidden sigil. When he stands up straight, the fabric aligns in such a way that it is a sigil of Kaori, the Archangel of Resolve. But when he bows, it turns to Tycho.
Oh.
Or when he does specific movements, it switches between Kaori and Tycho. Of course. Blessings on your journey.
Out of the guild we go.
Alrighty, and out you go indeed.
As soon as we get out, I turn to everyone. You guys sure about this?
Absolutely not. Let's get going.
We gotta
Also,
start our adventure somewhere.
Exactly.
Bash. Let me see.
Whoa.
Tanalis hears something as your group leaves, and you can hear the more gruff, kind of bigger of the two. Why would you go and do that? But that's all you hear.
Uh-oh.
What's wrong, Tanalis?
Nothing.
Alright then.
So, to the Tenor Rock?
So, going to take a couple days of travel.
Yes.
To the
As you
Eastern
have
Mountains.
some distance to go.
Hey, Tinalis. You know that guy we were just speaking to? Did you notice he had 2 different types of archangels on his robes?
Mm-hmm.
He did?
Is it possible for someone to be from both archangels?
I don't know what would stop people.
I just thought it was interesting.
If you guys are worried about this, we can always ask around for things the Tenrock does.
Like, get an idea for its movesets?
Of a sorts.
That would be helpful.
Yeah, probably. Do you want to ask somebody here, or do you want to find
Really?
someone else?
The Adventure Guild would probably be the best place for information, but we just left.
Yeah.
There might be books around here. I can always look back to see if I missed something in Silver's tome.
Is there a sort of library in this town? Or any kind of...
You're unsure, you guys had just gotten here.
So, are we splitting up and looking around?
Alright. When and where should we meet back up and regroup?
I can go away at the inn and look through Silver's book.
What time is it, approximately?
It's about probably 3.
Okay.
We can leave tomorrow.
Alright, we can spend the rest of today looking for information on Tenrocks, and then tomorrow we can set out on our journey.
Alright.
Sounds good.
I guess I'll look around.
I am heading back to the inn, going back to my room to read through Silver's tome.
I'm gonna follow Elle.
Alright.
Oh.
Those who are looking, make a survival check. Or a perception check, depending on what you prefer. You guys managed to find your way to a small library.
Cool.
Yay.
And that seems to be filled with, rather than books, scrolls,
Phew. Ooh.
all set in wall holsters. The man behind the counter has very kind of short black hair, very dark eyes, though he has a small set of reading glasses as he seems to be reading something of the sort. Reading through one of the scrolls.
I walk up and I say, "Excuse me, do you have a minute?"
Of course, what can I do for you?
We're looking for information on Tenrocks. Do you have any kind of scrolls that could help us?
Tenrocks? We don't normally stock anything about devils and demons. We're more of a historical center.
Do you know any information on the monster from maybe experience or what people may talk about around here?
Just a librarian.
Alright.
We're gonna have to go back to the Adventurers Guild, aren't we?
We may.
I mean, it is only 3. We have the rest of the day, so we might as well head back.
I'm gonna have to call it here because I have to prep for the next session.
Alright.
Okay.
Alright.
Sorry to cut it this much shorter, but I have to do a lot more between session for this one.
No worries.
We might be able to pick up with a midweek session. See
I'm
what I can do.
I'm going up north, so I won't be able to.
Will you be
Okay.
back Monday or?
I should be back by Monday, yeah.
Okay. So I will see you guys a bit later on.